Hello everyone, welcome back in another video. I am Vaibhav and today date is 25th of August 2022 and our today's video topic is difference in between array list and linked list. So before going towards array list and linked list, we all know about the arrays. So array is nothing but a similar data type of collection in which we are storing a data sequence of characters which having same data type. That means it is on based on it is like integers, floats, strings, or all of those. But in this case, we are only able to store the data which is having only same data type. That is the one issue, and another issue is that when we are using an array, that time we have to give some specific size to the array. That means beyond that size array cannot be grow. That means let's suppose let's use syntax for the creating an array. We can write as an integer array, that means int and then subscript operator. After that we are giving a name for that array. Let's suppose the name is a. We can write as int subscript operator a is equal to new, and then there is a data type, that is int and then subscript operator, and within that subscript operator we are giving some specific size. Suppose we are giving a size as a 5, so that length of array should be 5. So in that case we are not able to store extra elements. That time we are not able to store 6 elements within that array. We have only store 5 elements, or we are not able to store less than 5 elements. That is the major issue. That's why Java can introducing a dynamic Java can introducing a array list. Array list is nothing but that is the dynamically array. That means array which is growing itself, which is as per their requirement. So there was array list are having some specific functions, and vice versa. They are introducing one more feature, that is the linked list. So why they need array list and linked list? Let's we see one by one. First we see array list. So within array list, there also we at initial stage there is also we have to put some specific size for that. Let's suppose we are giving a size of array for the initially as a 10 size, and I have to add one more element within that. So that is 11th element. So that time we are using a incremental array. That means we are growing that array by some specific value. We can grow that array by using a grow method within our block of code. That time we call the grow method in our block of code. That time that grow method can extend the size of array by multiplying that array by 2 times, or we, as per our requirement we can implement by plus 10 or plus 2 or by plus 20 as per our requirement or as per the basis of project. So that is size which is having within our array list. And in our linked list, for creating an array, that time we are using a doubly array, doubly linked list. Doubly linked list means there is not any sequential array. There was a nodes, node. Sorry, there is a collection of nodes. So nodes is nothing but nodes are is a containing two types. That means nodes are containing any kind of data, and also it containing a next element. That means that next element can refer to the another element. That means we giving an input as a set. That time that input will be stored within that data within our node element. So and after that that next element can pointing towards the null value. So if we are adding first element as a 10, that node element can store that data as a 10 and it pointing towards the next value, that is the null. When we are adding one more value as a within by using add method, that is the add 20, that time that next element pointer can pointing towards that node which are having value of 20 and which are having also next element as a null. That is the sequence of sequence for the doubly array or linked list. Doubly list or linked list. So within this case, the major difference between the linked list and array list is that within our array list, we are if we suppose we are manipulating our array list. That time manipulation means we are adding some elements or we are removing some elements from the array. That time suppose my array size is a 10, and within that array I have to add one more element at the index 2. That is I am adding value 100 at index 2. that time the size of array is 10. So array is dynamic, that's why it's grow itself by itself. But within that scenario, this within on our second index already one element is present. Let's suppose that array is starts from 0 index, that is 0 1 2 3 4, and the elements within that array is 1 2 3 4. So on our second index that is the 3 element is present. When we are putting that element on second index, that time that element can shift itself towards the next index. That means all those array from that index are shifting toward itself towards the right side. That time the vacant place of the two index can putting our new value, that is our 100 value. So in this scenario, the time complexity of a manipulation is big O of n. That means it take more time for the manipulation. But in case of linked list, that time we are using a node. That time there is not any kind of structure like a indexing. There is a node. So there is a nodes like for data for 10, storing a data for 10 and 20, and I have to add one more value as a 15. So that time we are not manipulating those nodes. We are directly pointing we are pointing that next value towards the 15, and another their previous value also pointing towards that 15. That means the structure does not disturb or does not change. That time we are not changing the actual size of that linked list. We are adding doubly linked list within that our linked list. So that's why the time required for the manipulation is less. That's why the time complexity for is, that is the big O of 1. And in another case, for the one more advantage for our array list is that in case of searching, that time we are preferring the array list, because array lists are consisting the indexing. That means if we have to find out some specific element on specific index, that time we are able to directly find out that specific index by using array list, because it having within a set manner. But in case of our linked list, that feasibility is not possible, because that is the structure like a doubly linked list. That's why we are not directly find out that element, we are going towards one by one. So that is the again time complexity for the searching case. But is vice versa, that is in our array list the time complexity is big O of 1. That means it required minimum time, and in our linked list it required it required more time as compared to the array list. That's why its time complexity is big O of n. So that is the major difference between array list and linked list. Thank you.